Welcome to the Vision Profiles podcast. Join us, two dedicated Apple Vision Pro users, as we dive into everything from hardware and software to apps and the latest updates in the world of Apple Vision Pro. I'm Marty, a faculty member at Kent State University, podcaster, and avid Apple product fan.
And I'm Eric Bolden. I work in IT, but my interest is in finding new ways to share content, which is currently photography of plants and birds.
So, Eric, I got to ask you, we've got a guest with us tonight, Jesse Barrios, and I today has been hellish for me. Is there something going on with the pollen? I mean, you're the flower and bird guy, and it's just been bad. Hellish. Yeah.
Because the whole spring, everything sort of accelerated because it got warm so fast. And then with the dry days and then the wet and the rain and the lots of sun and higher temperatures, everything's about a month ahead of time and compressed.
Yeah, I was going to take some antihistamines today. Those things generally don't work on me and then just make me spacey. So I just suffered through it today and thought, how am I going to sound on the podcast tonight? We've got a guest tonight that's we're going to take through the format with us, Jesse Barrios, and you get Jesse, introduce yourself and talk a little bit about.
Thank you, guys. Longtime listener, first time caller. I am actually a full-time IT support specialist for charter schools in San Diego, North County. I also do graphic design on the side. I design T-shirts and sell them on Amazon merch. I do a little bit of side gigs. And I'm also now an Apple Vision Pro developer and a major consumer of the Apple Vision Pro.
So you're going to talk about Desktop Aquariums in a bit after we get through some news. But I think we're both curious about, as a consumer, what do you consume on Apple Vision Pro?
Movies. Movies is my number one thing I consume on there. There's pretty good amount of apps out there to different try, but nothing that's really that I've use on a daily basis besides the virtual solitaire game that comes in Apple Arcade. But the biggest thing is the 3D movies. That I've always been a 3D movie junkie. Used to have a 3D projector back in the old days and just loved it. And now with the Apple Vision Pro, with the clarity and making the screen size as big as you want, and you don't have these little goggles on your face that flicker back and forth to make the 3D happen. The Vision Pro has just been just a dream to have. Watching movies, TV shows. A lot of when I use it is every night when my wife goes to sleep. She's very light sensitive, so having the TV on always bothered her. So I slowly migrated from an iPad to a Meta Quest 3 and then now the Vision Pro. And even now I got to put a little gaff tape on the side to keep the light from bothering her at night. But it's been perfect. So, I have two young kids, elementary school. I work full time, as I mentioned before, and so we're kind of busy all day. And it's a great way to just unwind, lay down in bed, and just watch TV, catch up on the news, go through some YouTube, and then even listen to music. So it's been a great tool.
Yeah, I have been reintroduced to Apple TV. Usually that's an app that I pay for, Apple TV Plus, and I'm having a fun time. I never watch stuff on a flat screen with it, but since I've gotten the Vision Pro, the 3D movies seem at this point a big commitment to me. That's a 2-hour commitment, and I can get through an Apple TV Plus program in about 30 or 40 minutes. So I'm starting to work through those series and enjoying watching it on the headset more than I ever would on a flat screen or an iPad or anything small like that. It just seems so more immersive.
And I totally agree with you on that. It's one of those that for me, a movie, it will take me 3 or 4 days to watch just because when I get on it, it's very late at night. So I start a movie and then next thing you know, the movie's over and I got to go back and rewatch it or just take the headset off and go to sleep. But it's actually enjoyable. I'm just, like you said, I don't even watch some of this stuff on the flat screen TV, but now I can actually catch up and watch Apple TV stuff that I never watched before because it's just there, easy to portable watch.
I will, after we record this, I'm curious to find out what you're watching. I'm not going to put you on the spot here on Apple TV, but we can share.
Oh, they canceled that. Never mind.
When you're watching, are you using the audio from the Apple Vision Pro or do you put headphones in?
No. So because on top of being light sensitive, my wife, when she's sleeping, she's also a light sleeper. So I couldn't use any of that. So I actually had the AirPods Max and I used those for a while. They're great. They sound great. There's a little bit of bug issues. They don't work too well with the Vision Pro. If you use the volume knob on the Maxes, it actually messes with the audio and kind of mutes it. And then you have to go into the Vision Pro system settings and then turn up the volume that way. So actually, last week I ended up buying the AirPod Pros 2, the USB-C version that gives you the lossless audio, and I'm really loving those. The only thing is my ears need to get used to the having the little in-ear
Yeah.
things in there. But I do love using those. You don't get the sweaty ears from the Maxes. They do sound great, and I was actually amazed how much the spatial audio sounds almost exactly like the Maxes. So those are going to be my new go-tos.
Yeah, take them on a plane if you ever have to do a plane ride. Definitely, because you don't want to disturb the folks next to you. But those are the must-haves, I think, on a plane trip.
Yeah, are you talking about the Maxes or the Pro 2s?
The Pro 2s.
Oh, Pro 2s, okay.
Yeah.
I was wondering how the noise cancellation would be on a plane, because I'm not really in a noisy environment when I use them, so I can't.
Yeah. Good enough. I would say the noise cancellation is good enough versus the weight of having to schlep around, the headphones on top of the Vision Pro.
Yep.
So I'm going to hit some news, and then we'll hear a little bit more about Desktop Aquariums. And I've sent these out to you, and you can feel free to comment on any of these. Apple Insider published this article that just really got to me. Apple Vision Pro 2 may be half the price of the original claims, and it's a sketchy rumor. So why are you posting it?
But I think it's going to happen anyway. That's just technology, and that's just business. As more, as they go along down, they make these things better and better, and things get cheaper and cheaper. It's going to be cheaper. If you look at the Apple Lisa that came out in 1983, it was $10,000 when that came out, and that's what, about $30,000 our money now time. But and then you look at what you can get now for $1,000, an iPad, which is almost like a computer. So I think the Vision Pro is going to be the same thing. I think it's going to go down in price, eventually, and make it more affordable.
According to this sketchy rumor, it's these cheaper varieties are going to be between $1,500 and $2,500 and appearing sometime in 2026. Eric, you got any comment on this?
There'll be something different by 2026.
That's Eric's prediction on it.
It's not that big of a story. I mean, yes, something will happen between now and 2026.
I agree.
Yeah, I thought maybe this is for people who were upset that the truth of having new ones that were cheaper in 2025, that rumor got squashed. And so they're holding on to something. And maybe this was it could be considered clickbait for folks who are sorrowful that they don't have it yet.
There'll be 2 years for new software to be developed and fine-tuned. So really, no matter what happens, there'll be something different, and people that are waiting, will still be waiting, I'm sure.
That's how tech is. You keep waiting and waiting. If you're waiting, you're just not going to get anything.
Another article from 9 to 5 Mac, and I'll post all these links in the show notes, so you'll be able to pick them up off the podcast, and you can go to the articles if you like. Stanford Tech may help the transition from Vision Pro to Apple glasses. So again, that thought that this is going to eventually turn into glasses, I think this is a separate line from Apple Vision. I think Apple might do glasses at some point, and it's nice to know Stanford's helping them. But you can't do the kinds of immersive experiences in glasses. I was an owner of Google Glass and had it for a while. And of course, like most good things Google, they drop it and it's not supported, and you can't get the app anymore to run it. It was interesting technology to play with, but it just creeped people out at that time. And, it was becoming to get big in the education field. So I found a reason to spend some money on it and get a set through an educational process. But then it's sitting in my closet. I don't know. I'm hopeful that Stanford continues with this technology. Nano photonic Metasurface waveguide. That sounds pretty scary.
That's futuristic. I think they'll have a glasses version, and then they'll have something like the Vision Pro. It'll coexist kind of like the iPad and the MacBook, they kind of do some things the same, but they're two different products in a different way to be used. So I can see Google's coming out, or the goggles.
Yeah, I have a Meta 3, but then I saw an ad for the Meta glasses, the Ray-Ban Meta glasses, and was about, an inch away from pulling the trigger. And then I realized I was going to be getting a new iPad, and it was like, I don't need a set of glasses that really don't do much for me, other than they're another wearable. So we'll see what happens with that in the future. What do you think about doctors using Apple Vision Pro for keyhole surgeries? This came out of Apple Insider. More doctors are embracing Apple Vision Pro for precision keyhole surgeries, and it's been adopted by surgeons. I mean, Tim Cook at the iPad reveal had a storyline that was trying to talk about the different way Vision Pro was being used, and one of those ways was in surgery, and I think it kind of creeped people out to think that people would be wearing the headset in surgery. But this story from Apple Insider, I think, tries to clear some of that up in terms of how it's being used. So you know what keyhole surgeries are, basically?
I don't know too much of it.
It's like laparoscopic. They cut a little hole in you, and then they put something in and put an instrument in and do the probe and do whatever they're going to do. In terms of, so it's a keyhole they're basically opening up in you to be able to do it. It's been the Pro was revealed to have been used in surgeries in Brazil and the United States. In the UK, one surgeon used an Apple Vision Pro to replace his HoloLens too, which is interesting right there. Just the fact that he's using a HoloLens, which is as a device. So basically used to perform laparoscopic surgeries, issued in treatments for gallbladder, stomach cancer, fistulas, and hernias. My wife is going in for surgery that is going to be a keyhole surgery this week. Maybe I'll bring my headset in and see if they'll let me in the operating room.
Now, would she say no if she saw a doctor or surgeon wearing that?
Oh, yeah, she would. She just says no when she sees me wearing that. We have one of those swiping photo things of family photos, and I put my persona photo on it, and it creeps her out every time it comes up. And she's like, you need to take that off. It's like that reaction is exactly why I'm leaving it on, because she can't figure out how to get the photo off of it. So yeah, she would freak out if the surgeon came in wearing a pair of Apple Vision.
I would like to hear the surgeons explain it to the patients. When obviously there's got to be, out of 30 surgeries, there's got to be a patient saying, no, I don't want this device near my body. But I mean, when reading the article, it said that it's better than having what they were using before, because the screen is right there in front of them.
Right.
Be precise, and it's clear. They can see the real world and see the screen at the same time. So how they're presenting that to the patients, and then eventually how many people are going to adopt this. And I also want to know too, like how many people refused it and then they didn't do it. That'd be interesting to hear. But
well, who says they had anything to say about it if they were under general anesthesia?
That's true. Yeah.
Frankly, I'd rather have them use it, because I'm an Apple supporter. I'd rather have them use an Apple Vision Pro than a HoloLens. But I mean, that one of the things that we see in Apple Vision Pro are, those three-dimensional engines that you can, expand and take apart or put back together. Why not do that with a gallbladder? And why not use that from an anatomy standpoint, which is, I think, what they're doing in terms of that. They're also looking at, they can have up in there the pictures of any sonograms or any x-rays that have been done for the patient on it. So I think it's interesting. Hopefully they're not watching 3D movies.
Well, it was interesting that it made it convenient to call for second opinions, additional consults. The being able to bring in other screens, other people. That's something going way back to some of Apple's early prototype devices. That whole concept of being able to call experts all over the world and consult and have it all be in one spot. We're finally kind of getting pieces of that. bits of the hologram from the or the holodeck from the Enterprise mixed with some of the old Apple tablet commercial concepts. That's just kind of neat.
Another story that we've got here is Disney Plus is launching exclusive Marvel immersive story for Apple Vision Pro. I'm not a Disney Plus fanatic. I don't know, Jesse, are you, or Eric, are you into Disney Plus?
I've got it because there's a lot of movies and stuff that Disney has, but yeah.
The 3D movies, there's a lot of free 3D movies on there that I enjoy. And actually,
Yeah.
I feel like Disney Plus has a really good how they converted the movies that weren't 3D or whatever it is they did. They just look almost, I think, better than the Apple TV Plus movies, especially Avatar, the second one with the high frame rate on there. I recommend that. We have it because my kids watch Simpsons every day. So that in itself pays for the Disney Plus. But I am super excited about this Marvel thing coming along. I know you said you had a MetaQuest 3. Back on the MetaQuest 2, and I have a MetaQuest 3 as well. One of the things that blew my mind about VR was this VR animation called Night Mara. I don't know if you've seen this or heard about this. Where it's
Yeah.
and it's very immersive. And the way they use the camera angles to tell a story and the use of the 3D models, and it makes you feel like you're actually in there more than any 3D movie you would watch on Apple TV Plus or Disney Plus. And this Marvel thing sounds almost exactly like what they were doing on that, but a little bit more interactive. Highly recommend checking out Nightmara if you have a MetaQuest headset. It's not for kids, so I'll let you warn that it's got a little stuff on there. But if you try that out, and see what I'm talking about, then you'll see, I think, what Marvel is going for in this immersive thing. And that's, if they do it like that, I think it's going to be simply amazing. It's one of those that can draw a lot of people in, especially Marvel fans. It's something to be experienced.
Yeah, this comes out of Mac Rumors, and it's an hour-long interactive and immersive Disney Plus story coming to Apple Vision Pro in the near future, according to the announcement from the Marvel Studios. Disney Plus original is connected to the What If animated series and will be released with a new app for the Vision Pro. What If reimagines events from the Marvel Cinematic Universe in expected ways, and with the Vision Pro experience, fans are able to step into the leading of an immersive story that transforms the space around them as they journey across realities. Jesse, you got to tell us when that comes, what your reaction is, because it sounds, from what you're saying, really cool.
I think it's exactly what VR was made for, to make you feel like you're in these environments, these movies, these little 3D projects, animations. It's basically what it should come with every headset. I know you do the Apple demo at the store and you see, okay, this immersive video and everything, but it's nothing like that compared to like what I've seen like with the Nightmare. And there's a few other VR animations like that. So when this comes out, I can see this being the demo product that they show at the Apple stores to showcase it, because I don't even know how you explain. It feels like you're in there. I can go on and on saying just experience right out. Yeah.
Be cool to hear your reaction to that when it does come out. There's an article I didn't put in the feed for us, but it just came out like at 5 o'clock today, or it started loading on RSS feeds. Apple to expand Vision Pro to additional countries after WWDC. Sort of a duh. What do you think? Everybody was on this. 9 to 5 was on this. Mac Rumors was on this. Bloomberg was on it. And I think most of the story derives from Mark Gurman at Bloomberg talking about it. But, so it's going to be timed with WWDC or close to that. Hundreds of employees from international retail stores have been flying into Cupertino for a multi-day Vision Pro training sessions, which, obviously China, they mentioned Singapore, Korea, the UK, Germany, and also Canada. And the articles that I read on this said that basically they're France, Japan. I'm looking at this now, and the articles that I read on this said basically that they'll probably emphasize China, UK, and Canada, and these other countries that are on the list. It's just interesting that they're on the list, but they should be the first ones to get the Vision Pro after the United States. Reaction?
They're already out there in those countries. People have been coming over here buying them. I've seen on the forums people asking, "Hey, should I buy this? I live in this country," So it was inevitable that they were going to have to sell it out there anyway if they want to get those profits. So
Yeah, it's funny. In Space, which is an app, I think that might have been where we met, Jesse, or where I put some news out about it. They have the first weekend I was in Space, I was flooded with people from China, and I said, "What is going on here? Why are all these folks from China? It's not even released in the country yet." Tim Cook said it would be later this year. They were having a conference in China that included visual, headsets, and primarily talking about Vision Pro. And somebody was putting a headset on and they were dropping in guest mode into InSpace and checking out people and talking with folks. So, if you spend time in those social apps within Vision Pro, you're going to run into people from all over the country. And most of the stories are the same, like you suggested, Jesse. They knew somebody here, they had it shipped to them, they have an account here, they have a credit card here. So they're able to, and they have an Apple ID for here. So they're able to use it in that sense. But it's interesting.
I think it's great to see how other countries use it. We have our surgeons out here using it differently. What are they going to use it for out there? They got a different, different view on different things. So I'd love to see what they have going on, especially with
it might have been either in the Verge or the Bloomberg article that I read. China has a whole different kind of adoption to VR and AR. They see it as a natural kind of extension, whereas, we're still a little hung up on it. So that's why they think China will really move into this. They might even have better technology there, but they're real interested in this platform and real interested in what it can do.
Yeah, that'd be great to visit once they release, see what comes out of it.
So that's the news that I've got for this time. Let's talk, Jesse. I'm interested in a lot of things that you said in your introduction. Seems like you're a creative guy that, besides being an IT specialist, you're into graphic arts and graphic design and t-shirts, and then this app that you've created. So it's interesting to sit down with someone who's a creative.
Oh, thank you. I try to be. Whether I'm a good creative or not, I try to be, or just do it for fun. Yeah, it's one of those things that if I love doing it or I like to do it, why not do it? My job that I've worked at, I've been able to do stuff with graphic design and incorporate into my job. So why not do that? The Vision Pro, basically, I didn't buy it, to just watch TV on it. I bought it as something I was going to develop on. When it was announced, I was like, I need to think of something and develop, on that thing so I can justify having it too. 'Cause, I mean, it's great to have for TV and everything at night. I was like, oh, that's a great thing to have, but I can't just buy it just for that. That's not a good financial thing to do. So I was like, I got to figure out a way how I can get this thing and justify keeping it. And the main thing was developing on it. It's a new space. There's a new environment of new apps, a new way to create apps. The MetaQuest 3 has been out, or MetaQuests have been out, but that's more of a gaming type thing. This is now in the Apple ecosystem. It's a new environment, a new way of bringing out new apps alive that, maybe I thought about in the past that, hey, this would be cool in VR, but you can't really do it on a different device. So I remember seeing when they announced the Apple Vision Pro and thinking, oh, this is cool, what it can be used for. And one of the things I thought about was like, oh, virtual aquariums, that's cool. Somebody's going to build that. I didn't think I was going to do it. I was like, oh, somebody else is going to create a little aquariums, a desktop aquariums, and it'd just be something cool for that. It's a great little device for that. Flash forward a couple months later, I was like, okay, I really need to get on this. If I'm going to develop something, I need to start working on developing a program. So I pre-ordered the device, and the app I was working on was not Desktop Aquariums. It was something totally different. I was working on an app, basically where, say you have a bed or a couch and you want to move that into a different room, but you wanted to know if it's going to fit in that room or fit in that space you're trying to move it into. My wife and I always have this discussion. It's not really arguments, but discussion. Is it going to fit in there if I move it here? Uh, sure. I say it's going to. She says no. She's always right. Spoiler alert. But I'm stubborn, so I go looking for the tape measure. Where's the tape measure? I don't know. It was there. We have 5 tape measures in the house. We can't ever find a single tape measure when we need it. I'll find a week later, a dog will be chewing on it or something. But with this app, I was going to have it where you get your phone, you scan the bed or couch or whatever furniture you wanted to move, have it to scale, shoot into your Vision Pro as a 3D model, the USDZ file, and then, like I said, in scale, go in the other room and see it visually, place it down in there. So I was working on this, and then of course, I pick up the Vision Pro, and on the App Store, there's Jig Space. We knew that, but then there's also like Polycam, which kind of already does that. And then there's a few other third-party apps. So I was like, okay, well, this is already kind of invented. There's no point in keeping on working on this. So I need to come up with something else. So I need to think of something because now I have this device. Do I really want to turn it back in 2 weeks, or do I want to keep this? So motivation, the 3D movies, watching stuff, consuming content, and you're like, oh, I got to keep this. How am I going to do this? I got to keep this somehow. So eventually I came back to the old idea, and I was like, well, what about the 3D aquariums, that I thought about, somebody's going to build. Has somebody built that? I went to the App Store, looked on there, and there's stuff similar. There's like an immersive thing where there's fish flying around.
All over the place.
Fish all over the place. I think there's 1 or 2 apps kind of like that, but there's nothing with an actual aquarium that you can place in your environment and just have in the background and just have as ambiance, just have there and then work, surf the web, work on your virtual Mac. So then I started working on this app, and of course, every day checking App Store. Has somebody invented this yet? Has somebody published this yet? So I'm sweating, working as hard as I can, trying to get this done. And I was prepared. If somebody came out with it, then I'll change something around or, make it a little bit different. But about a month later, after the Vision Pro was released, I was able to get my app done and release it. And since then, I've been working on just polishing it up and making it better and better every time. I don't want to charge a subscription fee. I'm just a one-man person developing. I have a full-time job, so I don't need to pay insurance and everything for employees. I don't need to have all this extra income. So for me, charging just one flat fee of $199, because I do have to pay for 3D assets and some of the models that I can't create myself, outsource and pay for. Just trying to get some of that money back. But I just want to have it out there for people to enjoy. Just have a little bit, something to relax them. I threw in a clock.
And you threw in an Apple too, I think, most recently.
Yes, I actually on the last update I threw in an Apple computer, an old 2E, or it's just a 2 computer, reminiscent of what I had back when growing up in the school days. The monitor itself is the fish aquarium, so you have fish inside the monitor, and then you have the little Apple II computer that you can place on your desk. You can resize it a little bit according to.
And it has the appropriate wear and tear on the veneer. It looks like. Yes. That it did come back from your school.
Yes, it wouldn't look right if it was brand new looking and it just wouldn't look authentic. Another good thing I put in the apps is the spatial audio. So now when you place the aquarium on it, you can hear the sounds like if it's coming across the room or if it's next to you, out of your left or right ear or in the center.
Yeah, that's nice.
It helps make it more realistic. And a lot of it too is like my wife and I, we want an aquarium for our kids, and well, it's a lot of maintenance, so we've never really jumped into it. Well, now I can have an aquarium and we don't have to think about spending the money. But unfortunately, it's just me because nobody else has a Vision Pro in my house. But it's stuff like that. So you have the little thing back there and relaxes you, and you don't have to go out and spend a fortune on an aquarium. So
I do my Vision Pro in the living room. And I generally use it for going through email and, some mundane stuff in the morning, working on my to-do lists, just so I have a different platform to work it on. But over to the right is my daughter's stand-up piano. And I was able to take the aquarium, turn it to the right angle, and then move it over so it sits on top of my daughter's stand-up piano, with the spatial audio coming over from my right side of the room. So it's a pretty neat app. And then if I just want a fishbowl, I can place it down on the table in front of me. It's a pretty neat little app that you've done.
Oh, thank you. Yes, yes. That's what I like to hear. You just put it on the side, and you can hide the menu if you don't want to see that. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's good to hear that it's getting some use out of there.
Yeah.
It makes it I build it out too.
You just need to sell about 3,000 of these things so you can recoup the cost of that
That's the
of
goal. And
that
if I can
Apple
do
Vision
that,
Pro.
I can do that. I'll make the app free because that's all I need to do to justify buying the Vision Pro.
Yeah, but then you'll start getting feature requests.
Yes. Well, hey, I can do that too. I don't
New
mind.
Well,
fish, feeding the fish.
so for those folks listening, just think of it as like buying Jesse a coffee cup.
Yeah.
But it's a coffee cup he's going to wear on his head and enjoy, and you'll enjoy the app too.
And I didn't get a divorce out of it too. So I built something. Yeah.
I have I was curious about something that you said because I have never been good at coding. I took a couple of classes in it and it was miserable. But every once in a while I get this itch to want to create an app. It's like it's a bucket list thing for me. But there's so many apps that are out there that are complicated and do wonderful things that my app would be something that would be so uniquely personal to the niche of my workspace that no one would want to buy it anyways. So I have to balance that between trying to do something that people will want that will chew up a lot of time and learning and that I don't have, or just trying to create a clean and dirty little app for the field that I work in that won't be widespread. Listening to you talk about how you were checking every day to make sure that this hadn't come through, that your original idea of an app that you worked on that you wound up switching because a couple of other apps came out like that. Oh, that sounds treacherous.
Yeah, it is, but that's just the nature of the game. And especially with the new products like the Vision Pro, it's so new. There's a lot of people. I'm obviously not the only one that's out there trying to jump on board and get something out there with this new product. Because it's like the old iPhone. You were the first one with the beer app or whatever. You get copycats after that, but it's always the first one, the original one. The Flappy Birds and all that stuff like that are more successful, and then it's going to die down and it'll go away eventually. Hopefully the next iteration of the Vision Pro or Vision Lite or whatever it is, SE, this app will still be around and people can enjoy it then. But it's something I knew that somebody can come along and have this idea. And actually, one of my other app ideas I was going to do before the aquariums, and I've been thinking about doing this up until recently, till somebody else came out with this app, was actually having an immersive experience where you can try on watches. I'm a watch guy. It's like the Omegas, stuff like that. But to have like luxury watches and put them on your wrists. So I was playing around in Xcode with doing all that stuff, where you can mount stuff, anchor stuff to your wrist and all that. But then somebody else came out with it and they made it free, which is great. I absolutely love that. So now you can go on there and try luxury watches in the environment. It's like, oh, cool. Well, I'm glad somebody else did it, and they probably did it way better than I did. So nothing wrong with that. But it's been a great learning experience, and then just going out with this app, and that's the way I saw it too. Is if somebody else comes out with this app, then I'm learning as I'm going along. It's not a lose situation. I'm
Yeah.
learning, so maybe I can use what I know so far to make something else. Yeah.
So fart apps. We don't have any fart apps on.
Go audio apps. That would be awesome, or not? I don't know. Yeah. You want that one? I can try to do it.
I just imagine like clouds coming
No.
from different parts of the room.
No.
Wrong
Yeah.
angle. You don't want that. Yeah. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Sorry, Eric, I went there. Do you have any? Do you have any more? Do you have questions for Jesse or anything else you'd like to ask about?
I had a question. Got blown right out of my head with that last question. For your coding, have you done any coding where you're wearing the Apple Vision and connecting to a Mac to bring the screen up separately?
Yes, I've actually used Split Display or Split Screen, that app on there, to have like two monitors up there. You have the main one. Yeah, I've used Xcode with that, especially in a cramped space, because I don't have a desk. I don't at home. I don't have an office. My wife has an office. She works from home, so she gets the office. So I'm forced to either work in my in our bedroom or on our kitchen counter. So I'm not going to be able to hold down a monitor and everything. But yes, I have done it on there. And it's just easier too, because when you're testing the app itself, you want to test it on the device. There's so many times that I've seen it on the Xcode simulator where it just doesn't do one thing and it's totally different on the Vision Pro itself. And I've seen many people on Reddit ask, can I develop this with Xcode simulator? Yeah, you can, but it's not going to work properly. And you really need to have somebody else test it if you can't get your hand on the Vision Pro. Especially the biggest thing is depth. The menu bar, what it looks like on
Yeah.
the computer versus in real life, the depth, you can't simulate that. You can't simulate Z-axis stuff. So it looks very different. So having it on my head while working on my Mac has been great. And then I just send it over. I don't have a developer strap, so it takes about 2 minutes for it to upload to the head device. But at the same time, we're on the Vision Pro, so I got music or I got a movie or YouTube background while I'm waiting for my app to load up on the headset, and sitting there just enjoying it.
So Xcode is the way to go. Again, I don't know anything about coding. Xcode is the way to go in terms of coding or developing Vision Pro apps.
Sorry, yeah, Xcode is Apple's main program for making iOS apps, Vision Pro apps. You can use other codes and bring it into Xcode, but you will need Xcode to archive your package, send it up to the App Store where you can then publish your app. But a lot of professionals will. I don't know if I'm really professional or not, but a lot of people code outside of it, use different apps that are a little bit better and easier to use your code to type your code in and work with it. I haven't gone that far out yet. It's been fine for what I need, especially using Reality Composer Pro with the 3D objects and everything. It's okay. It's not the best tool. I've had to go into like Cinema 4D and Blender programs that I've used before. Those are all 3D programs, and then bring them back into Reality Composer Pro to make them work. It's very bare bones right now as far as what you can do. So a lot of developers are doing all this stuff outside and bringing it in and then packaging it up and going from there.
Yeah.
So
I have done the first step. I've downloaded Xcode onto my Mac Studio here. Now it'll sit there for a while until I actually even try to open it up. But I've done the first step.
tutorial.
Anything else you'd like to share with us, Jess?
No, I mean, as far as the future of the apps, or the app itself, I am working on different things. I'm adding a volume slider so you can control the audio from the app itself. I am working on possibly adding different lighting environments.
Mhm.
So I noticed at night it's dark and you can't see anything because it works with the environment that you're in. So I'm gonna try to work with that if somebody wants to have work on their desk, on their MacBook or whatever, and have it on the background when in the dark environment. You can light that up. Just working on getting all this stuff in it, and hopefully I'll have some other ideas for apps and I'll put those out there too.
Well, I'm really happy to have you on speaking about this. Eric, any other questions or comments?
No, I've enjoyed it. I'm glad that you can mute the sound, because when I use it upstairs, it's great, but when I use it downstairs, I have a guppy tank and the two sounds, it just gets really loud. So you can mute one and you still get the right sound because the bubbling from the guppy tank just mixes right in perfectly with the other one. You can stack them or whatever. The only real question use-wise that I've had is sometimes I'm in a room where I try to put the tank on the floor and then it's hard to pick it back up again because I can't find the control. I didn't know if there was a trick to that.
Yeah, no. One of the things I'm working on and constantly working on is improving the UI, the user interface, and one of it is the toolbar and messing with that, getting that set correctly. So I am looking into that. I have experienced that myself. The volumetric windows, because it's not an immersive environment. It's because if it was immersive, you wouldn't be able to use it with other apps. Because of the windows, the way it works, you have to have the little bar there, but then the spacing and all that stuff. It's kind of a weird way. And again, that's just the infancy of the OS and everything itself. But I'm working to try to resolve that and fix that, because
I don't know what I was doing this afternoon, but I just used both of my fingers together and was able to pull and make the fish tank larger. So I was looking for that little pull tab on the side of any object to make it larger. Instead, I just used both of my fingers and pulled it and expanded the object that way.
Yeah, so it's actually expanding the models itself, not the window, the volumetric window. The window itself is set to a certain coordinates, and I'm trying to work with that to see how we can make this work where it's more intuitive, more obvious how to make the things stretch out and zoom in and zoom out. But you're actually doing the models themselves when you're doing that, not the window itself.
Yeah.
So those are things that I'm working on right now to clean up and get ready.
It is pretty neat though, because if you're like right there and you make it really big, you're almost like right in the tank.
Yeah, you can walk in. Try walking in there with the fish.
Well, and then to move the tank, you have to get up and walk around and go grab the tank and shift it again. But the just having the fish kind of swim by you and around, that's a cool effect. I like that. That's really good.
Yeah, my kids love that feature. They don't care about anything else. They just like seeing the fish swim around your face.
And it's really the only way I can have a fish tank at work. There really is another spot, so it's nice.
You need to create a three-eyed fish like in the Simpsons, and then your kids would really like that.
I was trying to create a Fallout inspired fish tank, and I might still do it because of the whole Fallout series TV coming out and everything. So I might still do that. Got to work around not getting licenses.
Yeah.
So, but maybe I'll throw a three-eyed fish mixed in with the Fallout looking terminal. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Jesse Barrios, for joining us today to talk about your creative endeavors and particularly Desktop Aquariums. And Jesse has been kind enough to give us 4 codes for Desktop Aquariums for the first 4 people that email us at visionprofilespodcast@gmail.com. And if we get an email from you and you're the first 4, we will email back with one of the codes that he donated to us to be able to share with listeners of the podcast. So thank you on 2 accounts for that. And hopefully we'll have you back again sometime in the future to talk about new aspects of this or what kind of things you're discovering with the Vision Pro and with the apps you're working on. You've been a wonderful guest.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
So thank you for tuning in. Our background music is Free Jazzy, and it's courtesy of Steve Combs from the Free Music Archive. We'd love to hear from our listeners. If you have ideas or want to join in an episode, email us at visionprofilespodcast@gmail.com. Learn more about us and the Vision Profiles podcast on our website at visionprofiles.info, where you can also fill out our contact form if you're interested in participating in the show. Spread the word to other visionaries. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.